Welcome to the final episode of the Held Back podcast, ladies and gentlemen. It's May at the time that this is being released. It's still March at the time I'm recording this. So let me know in the comments if you're watching this on YouTube if things get any better in May. Because they're starting to get better in March, but I'm hopeful that they'll get better in May. And so I'm actually the very last line of the book in the author's note has something to do with that. So um, don't read the author's note before you read the book, but just know that it's coming at the end. It's good, but it's coming. Uh, so I'm gonna read a little bit of the book in today's episode, but first, make sure that you are following at A Corby Books on Instagram. I will be posting updates and stuff like that there. And then you can also follow my personal Instagram account at Anthony Corby, just my first name and last name. It's on the screen, so pretty straightforward there. If you're interested in uh, me as a person, it's a private account though, so you'll have to not be a bot for me to accept you. But anyways, today, finally, we have reached the end of the podcast series. Um, Now, like I said in the first episode, I might wind up actually making an episode 5 sometime down the line, kind of describing some of the things that happen in the book. Um, but yeah, for now, I guess it's just a maybe. Like maybe this will happen, but I guess we'll have to see. But anyway, without further ado, here we go. So I'll read the dedication page as well. This is dedicated to all of the people who were my friends throughout high school, especially my neighbor and my fellow TV club leaders. So shout out to you, my neighbor and fellow TV club leaders. Um, but yeah, my friend who is my neighbor has been my closest friend for the last, well, 7 years now. So I'd be remiss if I didn't give him a shout out. But anyway, here we go. Chapter 1. And this is, I should mention, this is a young adult book. So initially there were at least 50 curse words in this book, and I took them all out. So it's clean. So you can listen to this with your kids if you have kids. You can listen to this with your dog if you have a dog. And not, you're protective of your dog. You don't want him to hear curse words. Um, I know my Bruno. I don't want my Bruno hearing anybody curse, even though I probably curse at him um, somewhat regularly. But anyway, here we go. Chapter 1. One thought ran through my mind on repeat that entire mid-June afternoon. I can't wait to get the hell out of here. Hell is not a curse word, by the way. The thought began to repeat more often in my head as the day went on. It was a half day, as were all days on the week of graduation. First period, which for me was English class, seemed to fly by pretty quick, but pre calculus, which was my second period class, felt like it dragged on for hours. Our teacher insisted on teaching the few juniors in our class what they should expect from high school level calculus and telling us seniors what to expect from college level calculus. Finally, 7 centuries and 3 eternities later, the bell rang and I made my way to my last ever class as a high school student, gym. Thankfully, our teacher didn't make us get changed or do anything, which would have been a pain for me since I was wearing a suit to school that day. Instead letting us have the option to play basketball at one of the hoops or simply walk around the outskirts of the gym. I chose the latter. I plugged my headphones into my phone, turned on Enema by Tool, and walked laps around the gym for pretty much the entire 50-minute period. Fourth period that day would be a bit different for us seniors. Our school wanted to give us a treat, and that treat was an assembly where the school principal, Mr. Davis, would give his last speech to us seniors. Normally, whenever Mr. Davis would call one of his assemblies, my friend Will and I would criticize its effectiveness. They pulled us out of class for this, we would say as we sat at the very back of the auditorium and cracked jokes the entire time. Seeing as this was the last of his pointless assemblies that we had to attend, Will and I decided that instead of showing up and joking around like usual, we'd make a bit of a parody over the whole situation. Will had the brilliant idea that we show up to the assembly in all black suits because, in his words, people are going to shed as many tears at this graduation as they would at a damn funeral. So that's what we did, as I alluded to earlier. We both wore suits to school that day. I told Will to meet me in front of the gym since his third period class was right up the hall and the auditorium was closer to the gym than the classroom he was coming from. I waited inside the gym for an extra minute before popping out and watching as he made his way down the hall. "Yo," he called once he was in earshot. "What's up, Julian?" "It's a sad day today, Will," I responded sarcastically. "Oh, yes, very sad," Will said, opening his arms for a sarcastic hug. "I'm gonna miss you, brother," I pretended to cry as I pounded him on the back. "I'm gonna miss you too, man," he said, also pretending to cry. "Oh, wait," I said, stepping back and putting my hand sarcastically on my face. "You're going to Rutgers, which is like 20 minutes up the road, and I'm going to community college." "Oh, that's right," Will said, also sarcastically facepalming. "I completely forgot for a moment that we're still going to live in the same exact town after graduation as we did for the last 18 years." "That's insane," I said, and we both laughed. As we made our way to the auditorium, people gave us weird looks as if to say, "Why are these two students wearing suits?" Oh, the things we did just for the sake of comedy throughout high school. Our best moment, in my opinion, was when we both wore Santa hats with camouflage shirts and pants on the day before winter break of our junior year. When asked about it by teachers and other students, but primarily teachers, since we didn't engage too often with other students, we told everyone we were Santa's army and we were going to save them from the ghost of Christmas Present, who is a creepy fellow, which was Will's idea for an explanation. We would respond to everyone that called what we were doing stupid or insensitive by calling them Scrooges. Thankfully, no one really took exceptional offense to it and went to report us to Mr. Davis, so we managed to get through the day without being suspended or stoned to death. But Will and I both agreed that was probably the edgiest thing we could do without getting in serious trouble, so we dialed it down a bit for our future gags. Will and I were two of the last seniors to arrive at the auditorium where the rest of the seniors were slowly packing in through a set of double doors. I started sweating a bit since we were in close proximity with around 300 of our closest friends in a building without a strong air conditioning system. Will and I didn't talk much except to acknowledge how similar we looked to Vincent and Jules from Pulp Fiction wearing suits. We knew the real comedy wouldn't begin until we were inside, and Mr. Davis began making his speech. I joked with Will that this would be the speech to end all speeches, since it would be the last time that we would ever have to attend one of his assemblies again. At least, so I thought. That's all. That's all you're getting. That's basically 3.5 pages. So if you're looking forward to more, the rest of the chapter is only about another page and a half. But I'm not going to read the whole first chapter. But anyway, that's going to be it for this podcast and for the series. Make sure you. I don't know if you can pre-order it. I don't think you can pre-order it. I think you just have to wait till May 14th. But when it comes out on May 14th, make sure you order Held Back on Amazon. And so, yeah, it will be out May 14th, sometime that day. I'll post an update on Instagram when it's out, so make sure you're following me on Instagram at @acorbybooks. Thank you so much for watching, and I guess I'll see you sometime down the line. If you're listening to this on Spotify and don't want to subscribe to my YouTube channel, then I'll see you at the next book release. But if you're watching this on my YouTube channel, there'll probably be a video coming out in the next few months, if not weeks. But anyways, again, thank you so much for listening to this podcast and for the rest of the series. And yeah, have a great night, everybody. Stay safe.